Howdy y'all, I'm Jace. Let me turn this heater off. It's a very cold day today, and my windows in here are not the very best. It's a really old house, so if it's cold outside, it gets very cold in here, which, as you probably know, not ideal for tropical plants. But saying that, I'm Jace. I grow tropical plants, and I just wanted to show you my philodendron today. I have several varieties. Majority of them kind of big, so I need all this space to show you. But yeah, philodendron are one of my favorites. Probably one of the top ones to get me into plants. I think the first, or at least one of the first that was like the most eye-catching to me, was Philodendron micans, or mecans, however you want to say it. So pretty, velvety, everything that you want in a philodendron, and it trails so pretty, pretty whimsical. But yeah, that snowball affected me into getting a bunch of philodendron. A lot of good things and bad things about philodendron. They're some of the prettiest, well, and anthurium, but to me, philodendron were some of the prettiest plants. Cons to that is that they get pretty big, and with some of the ones you might see, the petioles can get really long and they just take up a ton of space. But saying that, I'd love to show you some of the ones I have in my collection, so let's do it. Where do I start? Where should I start? Let's start with this one. So I have this guy right here. This one is called Philodendron Orange Marmalade. I have it on a moss pole. You'll see that I have a bunch of my plants on moss poles. I like to get them big, as much as I critique them for taking up a lot of space, just because these plants can go through a lot once they start sizing up, which they will do once they start getting roots into the moss pole. I don't know if you can see that. I have a grow light right here, and it's not the worst light, but you'll see once the plant starts climbing these moss poles, it'll root into it, and thus you can see it's starting really small leaves and just gradually getting bigger. You'll see a jump with almost every single one. But yeah, this one's really pretty. Philodendron Orange Marmalade, given its name because of this orange sheen and the marbling that it has on it. It comes out this pretty orange, and then it will kind of fade to this more muted orange, and as it goes, more green. But a really pretty plant, nice ruffles, and they can get massive. This is probably pretty juvenile in comparison, but a favorite nonetheless. Let's see. Let's get my moss poles first. Yeah. So I have this one. It's a little bit beat up, but it's still happy nonetheless. Philodendron gigas, really fun plant. I really enjoy this one. It's not a shingling philodendron, but it does kind of do that effect where it's just like overlapping one on the other. But yeah, really pretty plant with like these oval leaves, and it shimmers in the light. One of my favorites. Everyone loves a good velvet, but oh, and this light is so moody. I love it. Really easy plant. It is similar to like Philodendron melanochrysum, but without all the hassle of Philodendron melanochrysum, which is a perk. But yeah, I grow them all. I grow a lot of my aeroids on these Rousseau moss poles. Really cool guy. Can grow some really cool things. Has a lot of different philodendron, as well as a bunch of varieties. He'll even put like anthurium on like the top right here. Really cool stuff. Philodendron gigas. Following that velvety trend, I had this Philodendron glorious. It's a hybrid between gloriosum and melanochrysum. Really easy going, but I had chopped mine up to give to a friend, and then my top cutting just kind of went south pretty quick. So it was like a leaf that was really beat up for a few months, and then it popped out these two. Really pretty. It's known for like that shimmery look, as well as like these deep contrasty lines, and it's kind of pillowy. But a cross between Gloriosum and Melanochrysum, getting its climbing nature from the Melanochrysum. These guys can be really annoying with EFNs, or extra floral nectaries. So it's one that you're having to watch a little bit. Let's see if I have any. They'll kind of look like spider mites sometimes, and so it can be kind of confusing whenever you first get them. Oh, here. Well, I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but maybe if I do that, maybe it'll catch the light. They're just little pinpricks of kind of like a sap. So it does it to attract beneficial bugs to like come in, drink the sugar from its sap, and then it'll kind of like eat off any bad pests, or at least that's what people say. I am no scientist, but yeah, Philodendron glorious. What a cool one. Or like a Sydney plant guy who shakes them. This one's a very fun one to shake. So pretty. Let's see. Oh, I have this guy on a moss pole, Philodendron atabapoense. It's a fun one. It's similar to like your Philodendron Beletiae in the leaf shape, or Philodendron mexicanum, which I have. I'll show you one here in a second. But it has these deep like red purple backs. Really cool, but I guess like these sword shapes. So far really easy going. It's sized up on this pole beautifully. But here you can see this is not the prime example, but you can see the petiole starting to get pretty long. They just take up a lot of space width-wise, but they're so worth it, especially once they start climbing and like changing. And plus, they're just so cool. Not much to say about this guy. It's pretty straightforward, easy going. I haven't noticed anything particularly hard or crazy about this one. Definitely one that I like. But again, nothing crazy special. Philodendron atabapoense. It's a tough one to say. Let's see. Oh, this one's a little bit beat up. It's gone through life with spider mites. You can see spider mite damage looking like this. Let's see if you can get it in the light. Where it's just like, you can tell it's been kind of eaten at, and I did not get to it soon enough. But that happens with plant care. I don't see anything on it actively. Very pretty plant. Really funky. As it grows, it'll get these like hairy petioles. And once they get bigger, the hairs will get longer as well, where it'll almost feel like a cat. At Grow, I work at a plant shop. At Grow, we had one for the longest time. It was my height, then we chopped it several times to propagate and sell. But the petioles were about that thick and just full on hairy. Really weird. But this is a Philodendron varicosum is one that people hybridize a bunch because of those weird petioles, as well as like, I don't know if you saw it, but these red backs are just really stunning. So whenever you get it to hybridize, you can kind of sometimes see that through going into its like into the new genetics of the new plant. Saying that, I have a varicosum hybrid right here. This one is Philodendron majestic. It's a hybrid between, pretty sure, Soderoy, which is another crawling philodendron, and varicosum. You can kind of see it has like this nice silver look to it. I don't know if it'll show with this light, but has a silver look to it, and as it produces these new growths, sometimes you can see the red coming through a little bit. But really cool heart-shaped leaves, and I have this one on a pole as well. It loves it. I should probably water it. I feel like I watered it 2 days ago, but it's looking like it wants it again. They can be, some of these philodendron can be pretty thirsty, surprisingly. I keep all of mine in a really chunky mix of a little bit cocoa coir. I use Fox Farm, the Coco Loco blend, which is cocoa coir and a bunch of like micronutrients. A lot of science behind that. Don't know what it is. And then I mix it with chunky perlite. Oh, and this Fertilome orchid mix. Good stuff, this. On to the next plant. I got this easy access to this one. Philodendron tortum, if you can see it on camera. It is a weird plant because it's barely a plant. A lot of negative space going on with Philodendron tortum, and they'll come in looking jacked up. You can kind of see, if it shows, this is the new leaf where it's just looking like tore up. Not, come on, it looks tore up, but they unfurl nicely usually. You'll get these almost fern-like leaves, and they're really fun. They can be a little bit of a hassle. The first couple that I grew did not do so well. This one I have come to terms with. They tend to be a little bit thirsty, but because of the moss pole, I'm watering these moss poles maybe like 5 to 7 days. If I'm running my heater, which I am because it's so cold right now, they can dry out a little bit faster, but it's just one to keep an eye on. They tend to be thirstier, in my opinion, than some of the other philodendron, and they will tell you that. But this one seems to be happy so far. I need to extend this pole pretty soon, or at least top up on moss a little bit. Really funky plant. Let's see. Then right next to it, I have this Philodendron Red Anderson. It's not doing much for variegation for me just yet. Still a pretty plant. There's a lot to be desired still. It took a little bit to get accustomed to this pole, but you can kind of see the stem starting to size up pretty well, which is usually a good indication of it starting to probably start to grow a little bit faster, and hopefully a little bit more variegation will come through. It's a really pretty plant. If you watch Wild Fern on YouTube, she has a really pretty one. That's the main reason I got this guy. But they can be really cool. And they tend to be, in my opinion, just a little bit easier than Pink Princess to start. Speaking on Princess, I have this lady right here. She's in with winter. I think she's getting a little bit more light than she likes. But Philodendron White Princess, see, getting a little bit more light than it probably wants, and it's close to that window that's pretty cold. But rooting into the moss pole, starting to size up pretty well. The stem on it is getting nice and thick, which is exactly what you want. But a really cool plant. Started from like a 3-leaf plant. Dang, now looking at it, I'm like, it's sizing up pretty well. I should be getting bigger leaves. But a really cool plant, really pretty. All of those like royal philodendron can be finicky and persnickety on releasing leaves and stuff. On a moss pole, I've found it to be a little bit easier. Granted, with moss poles, there's pros and cons to everything. Pros being you can get your plants bigger, and tendency being to keep the moss pole perfect, consistency kind of comes into play. And that's exactly what these want, especially the royal ones. Consistency and watering can come into play really heavily on having these look good. But yeah, really pretty plant. And I'm not mad about it, that little bit of brown, because it's giving me some good variegation, which with good variegation comes a little bit of brown every now and then. Let me nestle this back into where I found it. Let's see. Do I have any more philodendron? Oh, I have this little Philodendron Birkin. These came into the shop at Grow, and they were like extra white. I wasn't used to seeing them like this color, so I was like, I might as well grab one. I'm not in love with it. I'll probably give it away or trade it, or if someone wants it. Really pretty. The Venetian almost reminds me of like those different types of jewel orchids, and a very forgiving philodendron, very easygoing. And sometimes you'll be able to get them to have a little bit of that green variegation. I've even seen some pink coming through on some people's Philodendron Birkin, which I'm grateful that they've been tissue cultured to the extent that they have, because they are very affordable now, which is very nice. Philodendron Spirit of Sanctity. Let me grab it. Cool philodendron. They can be kind of droopy suckers. And look at that petiole, long as I'll get out. But super cool philodendron. One of my favorites. I got it this year at PlantCon, Dallas, DFW, whatever. And it's given me these, all these big leaves it's given me since I got it. It's been surprisingly very quick growing, which is great. It has taken to the pole finally. It was kind of hard to get this one on a pole, solely because it's always wanting to like kind of droop down. And in nature, well, in nature, these are, I'm hoping this one's tissue cultured. It probably is. Solely because like, if it's not tissue cultured, the odds of it being like poached or something can be kind of spooky. But yeah, this one has really cool, rich history that I would encourage you to look into. I'm not the one to tell it to you, because I would probably mess it up. But these were on the brink of, I think they were endangered, but on the brink of like not having any more in the wild, which is crazy. And tissue culture is really cool for being able to bring these into our home, and so that these can be like kind of still become widely available, but they're really, really pretty. Like you can almost tell like this one's pinkish, especially on the back. Let's see if I can arrange this without snapping something. It's kind of pinkish right here, and it's almost like a matte color, which is cool because a lot of these other philodendron are really vibrant, which is great, but you don't get to see this like matte color too often. Reminiscent of the Atababa Poenzi that I showed you, but just a cool plant. Oh, deja. This is one that is another one of those varicosum hybrids. You can definitely tell that it wants to be on a pole, and I've been lazy. I'll admit it. Really pretty plant though. I had a really big one on a pole, and it just outsized my space too much, and I had to get rid of it. But really, and you can see the varicosum coming through really well through this plant. It's a Philodendron varicosum melanochrysum hybrid. And you can see that like velvety look, and the backs are really cool too. Eee, I need to put it on a pole. The backs are beautiful with that red, deep red color. Yeah, I've been too lazy with this guy. It definitely wants a pole, or at least air layered or something. Air layering, I'll show you in a second what that kind of looks like. It's just another version of getting it to mimic nature. Good enough. Philodendron. Oh, I have this one kind of starting to grow back. This one I had on a pole. This guy I had on a pole, and it's starting to just, after cutting, it's starting to reestablish itself. This one's called Philodendron Holtonianum. They're really strappy right now, little guys. But it's one that gets really funky once it starts to mature. I wonder if I have, yeah, I do. Let's see. I propped it into several cuttings. That one was actually like the base of it. This one was closer to the top. So it's like a little Tesla logo. I wonder if all these strappy ones are so hard to show, but really funky. I've seen some variegated ones on the not on the market, but like on videos, and they're so cool. I'm happy to have a green one. It came in the shop, and no one liked them, but they were all those like skinny leaves, not really showing any of the maturity. I took one home, put it on a pole, and they get really cool. They can get really, not leggy, but the internodal spacing, which is like between each leaf, the spacing between each leaf was getting really long, and I didn't like the look of it, and I just wanted to start it over, which is better for my space. But yeah, it's so funky. A really fun one. Underrated. Oh, Philodendron, another one of those royal Philodendron White Knight. My specimen has always been, I don't know what it is, but it's always been a little bit easy to brown. You can kind of see it like here. It's always wanted to do that. I put it in brighter light, lower light. It doesn't care. But this, I've chopped it up so many times, and it's finally giving me variegation because my other ones have not. Or like the prior White Knight before cutting didn't have much variegation. It was just kind of like, do I want to get rid of this or just maybe chop it up? I gave it another shot, chopped it up, and I gave away the other ones. And each of the people that I gave it away to, they've come back to me and shown me theirs, and they're all like half moons or really sectoral variegated. I'm just like, no, I'm happy they have it. And this one is really pretty, but I gave away the better ones, which is okay. I have plenty of plants, and this one will continue to grow, and I'll be able to chop it again. Let's see, Philodendron. Oh, another one of these royal Philodendron. I need to do something with this. This isn't where it lives. I just moved it away from the other window that it was touching. So, Philodendron Pink Princess. You might be saying, where's the pink? It's on there, and it is what it is. Carly, my wife, really loves the Pink Princess. That's the primary reason that I continue to grow it. It's a cool plant, nice and moody, but they can just be kind of picky in a way that, like, I take care of plants, and I have some really picky plants, but this one is just a little bit weird. I need to do something, whether air layer or put it on a pole. I don't hate what it's doing. It is growing kind of funky, and the leaves are pretty. The more I look at it, the more I like it. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I cut it back, see if a little bit more variegation can come through. I don't think this one's tissue cultured. Granted, you never know anymore. But look at that stem. My thumb for comparison. I don't know if that shows, but the sucker's thick. It's really cool to see these with really thick stems. You just don't see it too often. This is one that people bring in a bunch because, like what I said, they can be kind of picky. So people will bring them in a bunch, and they're just struggling, getting stuck in the sheath or even in the cataphyll, which is like, not cataphyll, I don't know, getting stuck coming out. And they can be really picky about it, and they can become ugly kind of quick. Sorry for getting in your face. I'm reaching behind you for a couple of guy is called, you might have seen it small before. This one is Philodendron El Chaco Red. You might be wondering, how did you pull that from behind my ear. It's called Magic. Cool plant. It's a really cool plant. It's not looking much El Chaco-y anymore, or very red. You can kind of see it on like the back a little bit. But now it's just a big old philodendron. Talk about long petioles. The plant is right here, and the newest leaf's right here. It's a really funky philodendron. Grow imported these a couple years back. And I've been growing it for a while, like maybe 2-ish years. I have it air layered, so I theoretically could cut it. But it grows so short internodes that if I cut it, it's not gonna do much anyways. I couldn't grow too many from this same plant. And I kind of like it big. I've thought about getting rid of it just because it's so massive, but I don't know. It grows on me every time I think about getting rid of it. Just because it's so crazy big. Really cool plant. Unique in when it's young, it'll come out like a chocolatey brown with red backs, but it also has like these super fibrous sheaths, and it's almost like a sponge or a loofah. Like whenever you rip it off, if you rip it off, it's crazy. I've had it in, before this, it was in a 6-inch pot for like 2-ish years or so. But earlier this year, I switched it over to this like 8-inch bad boy with air layers, and I water, every time I water the pot, I water these air layers. I don't remember where I was. My card, I should have formatted it before starting. We were probably talking about the El Chaco and air layering, but I don't remember where I was, so I'll just move on to the next one, which is also air layered, so you still get a good idea of what air layering looks like and what it can do. This one I've been a little bit lazy on, which turns out I do a bunch. This is going to be tough. Oh, and I also forgot one that is on a pole that I will also show you here in a second. Let's go. Philo. Let's go, Philo. It is stuck on my Philodendron, or my Anthurium beechii. Oh. Philodendron mexicanum. Look at how much space this sucker takes up. Really fun, funky philodendron. You can tell I kind of like this look of a philodendron, where it's almost sword-shaped with like the funny ears. Pretty common philodendron, as far as I know, but really cool whenever you get it mature and big. I didn't realize how big it was until I pulled it out. It's a really fun philodendron though. So it gets these long blade-like leaves with these funny ears, another Tesla-looking one, and then the undersides get this like almost like mottled camouflage red. You'll have to trust me. I don't know how I'm gonna get it closer, but a good example of air layering. So all of this is just full of roots, chunky roots, thick roots. And I've been lazy because I have not continued the air layering. It hasn't cared yet, which is funny, because usually these plants, not these plants, but like plants in general, are so quick to like, anytime there's not consistency, it'll just be like, I hate you. To be fair, it's putting out a slightly smaller leaf, but I don't mind. And it's funny to see these aerial roots just kind of grabbing at this pole, like actually. It's kind of unique because you're not used to seeing plants like really grab onto a bamboo stake without some sort of substrate that it can like get moisture from. I keep it kind of humid in here. It's a little bit over regular household. Right now it's only 50% because it's cold and I've been running the heater. I have a humidifier that I run, but it only does what it can. It's still a small room, so it keeps it a little bit higher, but yeah, fun philodendron. Takes up so much space. Maybe I should cut it. Nah, I keep it. I'll keep it out as it is. I keep saying that. Well, maybe I'll cut it. I'm gonna keep it as it is. It's a really fun philodendron, and it's really cool to see it grow. Because like, if you can see, I have teeny tiny leaves from where it started to like these massive, fun big leaves. I think they're fun. I don't know if you think they're fun. I think they're fun. They're fun. Oh, I'm gonna set you here for now, and then maybe later I'll put you back up. All right, Philodendron UPI. Another one on a moss pole. I just kind of forgot that I was supposed to grab. Oh, crazy, right? Funky. My parents hate it. They think, oh my God, something has been eating your plants. You should really pay attention more. This is how they grow. It's a fun plant. Really funky. You can clearly see, like, I don't even know how to describe it, the blade shape. It kind of reminds me of like Lord of the Rings a little bit. Like their swords where they're kind of thin in the middle and then widen out. Cool, funky, weird plant. And I like the way it's growing. It's just kind of all over the place. Like little spaceships flying around. They're really cool. Thankfully this one's been on, I think it was the first plant that I put on a moss pole. I had it with just like these leaves. I don't remember when I got it. Maybe beginning of 2024-ish. No, probably not. I don't know. Sometime in 2024. But it has started off a little bit slow, and it's been putting in some work recently. Even with the cold, it's been loving my space. And it's just continued to impress. Really cool philodendron. I like the funky, unique ones. Thankfully, it has really short interval spacing. That's what I was getting at. So I haven't had to change out of this pole or like extend the pole at all. And it's, look, all this enjoyment for barely any work. I could do that all day. Let's go. Let's put you. Now let's put it back where it was. It'll be easier later. There we go. There we go. Philodendron, philodendron. Oh, we could do this one. This one's a fun one. I need to water you, huh? I've contemplating getting this plant over and over and over, but it came in to grow, and this one strand was really pretty. But Philodendron Heteroraceum variegata. I don't have too many variegated philodendron, but this is a fun one. Super easy going, resilient plant, and you get a little bit of that pretty mottled variegation. It's one that I neglect, but it doesn't mind, I think. Yeah, I see roots. It doesn't mind. I really should pay more attention to it because it could be a very pretty plant. But these trailing plants I just don't think about too often. Or if a plant technically should be very easy and resilient, I put it to the test. Philodendron. I have a Philodendron Cheroneae. It's one that I've chopped up. It's not happy. I need to repot it. I think that it's rotting. But I haven't repotted it because the base is for sure potted and it's put out a growth point. And the rest, there's other things that I could be doing. But I'll show you what one of the props is looking like and why I think that it's sad. Philodendron Cheroneae. It's a really funky philodendron. It scratches that itch of the Patriciae with the abs. What are they called? The abs. But it has not put out a growth point, and I chopped it up at the same time as that Holtonianum that I was showing you. And it's not a good sign. It hasn't completely deteriorated the leaves yet. I have other propagations of it. They haven't deteriorated. It's just not doing much. See? Cool philodendron. If it comes back, it comes back. I still have the base. And I can just start it over. I also had this one on a pole. It did not like the chop from the pole. I am sure that it would have liked air layering a little bit better. But the roots that it had made in the moss, it did not appreciate the switch. I don't know. It probably was my fault. I could have made the soil a little bit chunkier, and then that just fixes a lot of issues. Sometimes, just like with transition, you can water a little bit more and it dries a little bit faster, and the humidity of that like substrate with the constant watering, it's almost like propagation. But I didn't do that. I don't remember why. I think I was out of either perlite or the orchid mix. Not both, but one or the other. I can't remember. Because I swapped this one over. And it's still kind of... You can maybe hear it. Ew. But it's a cool philodendron. I will definitely have one again in the future. Because the back one is still good. I also have a Florida Ghost over here, but it is in propagation, it's in perlite, so I'm not going to pull it out. And then this is my silly little Florida Beauty Facebook Marketplace find. It had this leaf. I was like, ooh, pretty leaf. I can do it. I can bring it back. When I got it, it had 0 roots, even though it was supposed to have roots. So I propagated in perlite for a long time, and I potted it up, and it's been growing. It's actively growing, but every leaf is just fully variegated. And boo. Makes me want to give up Florida Beauty. I could probably cut it. It's rooted into the pole a little bit, but I have cool plants otherwise, and if it doesn't want to be happy, I don't want it to be happy. I want it to be mad and ugly. Philodendron. I have some Philodendron mayoi. They're a cool plant. They're nothing special, just because they're a lot easier to find now. I would love like some of the hybrids that are made from this guy. They grow like a weed. Some people get it confused with like the Xanadu philodendron or the Matophyllum. But nope, it is Philodendron mayoi. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. Probably mayo. I don't know. Mayoi. Some people call it mayo. I don't know. These guys are hard to kill. I have grown this a bunch and chopped it a bunch. Been always thinking about putting it on a pole because they get really cool. There's a guy on Instagram called Jake the Plant Guy who has one, and his is like, I'm 6'10" for reference. His is about this high. And they all look like shields, and they're all facing out. They're really pretty. I just don't think that I want to do it though. Ow. I think that might be my philodendron. I have a philodendron micin still. It's the OG. I got it from a lady on the road, which is kind of cool. It was one of the first ones that I brought into my collection, and I got it while I was still dating my wife. It was one of our first dates. I'll go grab it. It's cute. It's teeny tiny still. I just grow it because of the story. I'm not trying to grow it big, long, luscious or anything, but I'll grab it. The road lady had it in a shot glass, so I've sized it up a little bit. Now it just hangs out with me when I do my dishes. It just hangs above the sink. But yeah, who doesn't love a Meekins or Micans or whatever? Who doesn't love this? They're the cutest. They're the best. It gives you that velvety look without the price of the velvety look ones. Now the velvety look ones are a little bit cheaper. But still, the OG, the best, the favorite child. Probably not the favorite child because I don't do as much for it. But I say that I have a really good guy in the plant community here in the DFW area gifted me a Philodendron Meekins Aria cutting. Maybe I can tilt it like, ooh, it's in propagation in perlite. But beautiful variegation. One of the prettier ones I've seen. Usually the variegated Meekins, to me, always look sick. Which I guess variegation is, but they always look not happy. This one looks happy. Granted, I have it in perlite. I've seen there's a little growth point coming in, which is exciting. Before you know it, I'll be able to pot it up and we can get some size on it. I'll have another little gigas in propagation. I keep one on hand. I keep one ready. I've given away a bunch of them. But, so pretty. This one was whenever I had it, I had it air layered before. I had it on a pole. I had a bunch of the little props. I kept one of them just in case the pole one starts to decline, which it doesn't look like it's going to. It might still. You never know. But it's nice to have one on hand. It's not all of them. I kept meaning to show you this one, and then I kept not grabbing it. Philodendron Ring of Fire. It's huge. I don't know how I nearly forgot it. It's air layered. See? I need to size up the base pot. But yeah, cool Philodendron. One of the OG variegated ones that everyone wanted. And now that everyone has them, they forget about them. But they're the coolest. Mine did a weird thing where, like, it's been putting out these big leaves, but this was the second to last leaf. But yeah, funny plant, almost like a saw, reminiscent of the jungle boogie, which is like pretty much just the non-variegated version. But pretty plant, technically a climber. So I have air layered. I don't know if I'll continue the air layering. Just because, what are you? I don't know if you will be able to see it, but it's like, what is that? I think it's a new leaf, but it looks almost gross. Ooh, I want to pop it. But yeah, big one. They come out orange and like fiery. That's where they get the name Ring of Fire. Not Johnny Cash or whoever sang that song. And then my baby plant of it that sprouted out from the bottom is like basically what are they called, the golden crocodile, which was really weird, and it had done it for a while, and I thought, I wonder if it'll continue to do that, and it's done it every single time, where it's just like neon. I should pay more attention to this plant. It's really cool. It genuinely might be one of my favorites, just because it's chill, it's relaxed, it's easy. It's big, it's beautiful, it's cover girl. What was I saying about it? It's a cool plant. One of my favorites. And it's a good one to conclude the Philodendron tour. I don't plan on like stopping collecting Philodendron. I have definitely been heavier on the Anthurium side of things recently. Love Anthurium. It gives you that same like type of velvety look, and the hybrid like parts of it have been really intriguing to me. But Philodendron are the OGs. These in Hoya are the OGs. You just can't beat them. They're classics. They're the ones that you can bring in without needing to be super specialized, or they're not super needy. You can keep them in ambient humidity, and even below, like, you can keep them below 40% humidity just fine, super easy. And they're just happy to be alive. They're on your side. They want to survive, and they want you to be happy with them. And they're just a lot of fun. But yeah, I don't plan on stopping collecting philodendron. I've definitely slowed down just because, as you can see, a lot of them are really big, and they're only getting bigger, which is the best and worst part about plants. They don't stay cute and small forever usually. Ow. My mic said, "Shut up, bozo," so had to restart. Well, not restart, but kind of finish it from where I was. But yeah, I'm just really grateful that I started this video. I'm really grateful if you watch this and you enjoy my plants. Continue along. I really do want to kind of show you how I maintain my plants, what I'm doing, what they're looking like, and just kind of continue to show you, or at least tell you how I help people at Grow, the plant shop that I work at, how to maintain your plants in a way that is feasible, manageable, and not really super nitpicky, because a lot of these plants don't need it. As long as we're consistent with them, they're going to be consistent with us, and they're just they're a joy to keep in your house, and it's cool to have them growing along with you. I don't know, sappy. But yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see y'all soon. The mochi philodendron.